Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet created by we the people, formerly known as the ARPANET. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. But before we get busy, let's move on to the folks who really make it happen. El Señor Howard Reynolds, Jack Van Bever, and Mayana. Buenos dias, mis hermanos y hermana. How are you guys doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Hello, Neil. Hello, Egberto.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Jack. Good morning, Jack. It's an interesting day. What's the word of the morning, or what
Well,
wisdom do we get?
you made a post that kind of tickled my
Tickled
memory
your
bone.
tickle.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. The tech lords and their ideology are mortal enemies of humanity. Now, this is a bizarre headline. The tech lords intend to bring humanity to the brink of collapse and then, in a magic trick, rise to power, saving the species or saving themselves. My microbiology teacher postulated this thought in my mind that humans collectively are no smarter than bacteria. He proposed that if bacteria were put into a petri dish with agar the size of the earth, relevant to the size of the bacteria, they would eat and multiply till they've eaten all the food in the agar. Then the bacteria would all die off. As the world population races towards 10 billion people, the world will become unsustainable and a massive die off could occur or probably will occur. This is what the tech lords are driving humanity towards. The humanity is humanity willing to look at its own population growth and the available of food and resources? The world's ecological balance is breaking down. The ice caps are melting. The cooling conveyor is slowing down, and the world is heating up. Change the page. Will humanity leave this world a lifeless husk, a planet that won't support life? Are we no more intelligent collectively than bacteria? Maybe the reason they are making the world less safe for people, the poor, the old, the undesirables, that the current crop of billionaires wish would just die off, and they are facilitating this with bad economic policy designed to let people die. Why is it we cannot allow too much wealth? This is why we cannot allow too much wealth in too few hands.
I look, man, you nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. And that's why I started with that thing about the what the tech bros are doing to us right now, and we have to be serious about it. Before we get started with Neil's Day, I want to point out, thank you for that, brother Jack, that I was in touch this morning with. I don't know if you guys remember former correspondent from KPFT, Chris Sampson. Chris Sampson is in Iraq right now. I mean, not Iraq, in Ukraine right now. And last night, of course, we had a massive attack. So I texted him this morning about what's going on, and he sent me a whole bunch of pictures on from what's occurring in Kiev right now with all the bombings that occurred. I checked up on him to make sure all was good. In fact, I want to give some kudos to our rad here in Houston, our correspondents here in Houston, Richard Hanna, who hooked us back up again after brother Chris had left Houston for some time. So I don't know if you're listening, Rad. You opened up a door of recommunication that we needed to kind of inform folks of what's going on over there, which will in fact impact us not only from a budgetary standpoint, but from who knows what's going to go down the pike. But anyhow, before we go any further, I want to bring El brother Neil Aquino into the fold. Neil, today's Thursday, which means it's Neil Aquino Day. Neil and I met over this week at a judges where judges came out and really spoke about the lies and dangers that we are confronting right now. So, welcome, Neil. How you doing this morning?
Right. Good morning. Good morning, Egberto studio, local, regional, and global audience. Good to have you. Good to see you. Thank you. And then, right, Egberto, Indivisible Kingwood meeting. We were there, and two judges, Melissa Morris and Hillary Unger, who are criminal court judges for Harris County. And they talked about a lot of the lies and a lot of the how the intent of taking over of attacking the criminal court judges is to get control of all the courts, including the Harris County civil courts with its big financial verdicts, and keep if you're hearing about the judges from the right, don't believe it. Okay, they're just we're very wary of elected officials here, but the Harris County judges are not looking to release criminals, and they do not want to live in a community where criminals are running around, dangerous people. They have families themselves. So please listen to more nuanced arguments on that. And, there's Elon Musk money in our Texas and Harris County judicial races. And don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Well, first of all, I want to commend you on the excellent uh, what would we call you, a facilitator that you were there, or
That
a
sounds good. Sure.
narrator? I mean, you did a great job in narrating what was going on, and there was one person that really touched my heart, and it was that when that veteran got up and he said, "I can't.
Hmm.
I wake up at 3 in the mornings. What can you guys tell me to allow me to sleep?" Because the attack that's occurring in our country right now, the autocracy that is starting to build, when you see it hit at the local level as it is now, where we have a veteran that says, how can we be rolling the red carpet out for Putin? How can we be supporting these guys that are actually inflicting this harm on us? But anyway, tell us what we're talking about.
Well, let me just give a quick mention of just building on that. You mentioned Ukraine. Trump met with the South Korean president over the week, and he mentioned North Korea and how great it was. I saw a story. They're hoping they can build a tower. My father was a Korean War veteran. Thankfully, he's dead and isn't seeing this. But he wasn't macho or anything. But he would talk about he had helped. It took some time bring some democracy to South Korea. He was a medic, and the idea, Trump called our troops suckers and losers, but spitting on the service of folks who fought and died in Korea, and there were a lot of them, especially civilians, Korean civilians. And to praise that dictator, and no one pushes back. It's really something. That's all I can say. It's really, and
You
I
know,
I could understand why that veteran felt betrayed.
a lot of Panamanians, the United States came to Panama and recruited a lot of Panamanians in exchange for residency and citizenship to fight in the Korean War. So my
Okay.
father in the fire department actually served as a Panamanian with a whole lot of Panamanians who came back from Korea wounded after serving for some time. So this affected quite a bit of people all over the world. A lot of stuff
And these
people
were the
don't
first
realize.
integrated units. My father would talk about, he was 19 years old from Providence, Rhode Island, had all the racial attitudes of the day. I think there may have even been blackface performances at his Catholic high school. I saw a picture once, not of him, but of people doing it, and he was in the first integrated units, and he told me that. Harry Truman, desegregating the army. He told me that made a difference.
Yeah,
You think public policy, you want an example of public policy making a difference. And he said that once he had, and it wasn't some, it wasn't some romanticized tale of it all. Neil, you do right, and all that. He just said that serving with black colleagues and soldiers just changed his mind all his life, and to see those gains, just we could go on. As John Whitmire says, I could go on, but
yeah.
it's a tragedy. It's a real tragedy.
Well, all of
Um,
this comes out of a fear, as I was mentioning in a program yesterday, fear and this, and a lot of times with some of the folks who feel that way, a sense of inadequacy, and that is the things that we have to overcome. Continue, my brother.
so at the Houston Democracy Project blog, HoustonDemocracyProject.com, there's a schedule. The what did I call it here? The Houston Democracy Project Grassroots Freedom Calendar. So we try to focus on events that are not put on by candidates, not put on by political parties and their clients. And there are on September 1st, Labor Day, a variety of events in the region that are ongoing continuations of the No Kings movement. Different groups. It's a longer story than we have time. Different groups have led these events from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Labor Day is the Houston event, and that's going to start at the Water Wall um, near the Galleria. So you need to, if you're going to attend, might want to get there in time enough to figure out the parking. But that's going to start at the Water Wall. There are events at Conroe City Hall at 9 a.m., at Westlake Houston and Kingwood at 9 a.m., in Navasota at 11 a.m., that's 60 miles up the road, at 306 East Washington, and in Katy from 5 to 6 at 2101 Katy Freeway, which is a very visible spot. There's plenty of parking. But so there won't be a test. You don't have to memorize that. But if you go to the Houston Democracy Project website, HoustonDemocracyProject.com, it's on the blog. And also, if you Google Houston Labor Day on Mobilize, go to Houston Labor Day Mobilize. It'll come up. You can also put those words into Facebook, into the search engine, and there are ways to find these events. And there are events in Katy, Conroe, Navasota, Kingwood, and Houston, and maybe where you are across the country.
Absolutely, there are gonna be events, there are gonna be protests all over the country
Yeah,
on Labor
protest.
Day.
Yeah,
Now, here is what's interesting, folks. Don't expect it to be covered. Don't expect the search engines to give you easy access to this information, because again, what I've noticed is a lot of our work is being throttled. I can't give exact numbers, but I can see that a lot of our, whereas Facebook would normally send, Facebook and YouTube, I'm not sure of YouTube quite yet. I still have to do some more studying on YouTube. But Twitter and all these tools, when you post something and you have a whole ton load of followers, I mean, if I add up all
mm-hmm.
of my accounts, I have in excess of 100,000. And the amount of people that actually get access to your stuff that it appears in their feed, depending on what you're talking about or depending on what you're doing, it's dwindling and dwindling. So, what I'm finding is to try to reach people, the old fashioned email is the only
Mm-hmm.
way for people to know, assuming they haven't yet thrown you in their spam, is the
Right.
only way to get to people to let them know that you're doing something substantive. Because if you're dependent on the algorithms from Facebook and these others to do it, a lot of our progressive stuff is being neutered. That's why you don't see a lot of the protests that are happening all over the country en masse, but you're not seeing as much of them as you should on Facebook, on Instagram, I pull up my Instagram and I'm a political guy. And Instagram has no problem sending me a lot of cooking stuff that I watch,
Sure.
but the relative amount of political stuff that I normally would have received, I can definitely see a slowdown on it. So, folks, a lot of your to help these algorithms, a lot of you are gonna have to start promoting. Start whenever if you see Neil's blog out there. I share Neil's blog. You got to share it. Our blogs that we write several blogs daily about what's happening. To get that traction, if we are going to have to physically, if you see it, share it to your friends definitively, share it by emails definitively. They are locking down, they're trying to lock down our form of communication. And the only one that we have for sure right now is that good old thing that you throw into spam a whole lot, that thing called emails.
Yeah.
And so we have to, again, we have to be the ones pushing our message. Anyway, continue, my brother.
I read it. I remember reading an account of the. It's been years now, but the organization of the March on Washington in August of 1963. Maybe on this date. It was late August. 19, Martin Luther King's March on Washington and all. It wasn't just his. And talked about how it was organized. So if you think about it, there was no internet,
Right,
and so the folks in different cities would have to go. Um, I think I recall people videographing or whatever the right word is, flyers for it, maybe at work. I don't. There probably wasn't even a Kinkos, but people just think about it. They rustled up 300,000 people on the mall in Washington, and it was a series of local organizers
yes,
who word of mouth. So Egberto mentions email, but also share. Just um, tell someone that the event is coming. And one of the advantages that type of organizing had is that you knew who wasn't a cop.
right.
It gave folks a sense of who you could trust. So I heard a presentation by the social media director for the Harris County Democratic Party a couple of weeks ago, and he said the exact same thing that Egberto is saying. And he said if he takes out words like support, sometimes if he removes words that convey a financial pitch, the algorithm will be a little less um, punishing. But if you Egberto references the ARPANET every week. I mean, I remember we're all old enough. Many of us are old enough to remember when we were told the internet was going to open up communication and be this wondrous thing, and they have this stuff strangled um, across every large platform. And I've seen some discussion on TikTok. They're changing their terms of service September 13th. I don't know. I'll see what actually happens, but it's just incredible that we can have all of these formats. And I think YouTube just retook One America News, some of the right wing news services that it had kicked off 5 years
Hmm.
ago. It allowed. So, Upshot, help out,
Before we continue, I want to salute the wonderful people that we have in the chat. Wonderful people. Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome aboard. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Reyes Nunez. I'm not sure where you're from, but thank you for being here. Good morning. We also have Maz Maniac. Good morning. Eric Hayes. Good morning from Kingwood, Atascocita. In our chat, we have Sandra Dingler. Sandra she found your link and she posted it in the chat to make sure other
Oh,
people are
great.
able to get to your
Thank you.
calendar. Welcome aboard, Diane W. Cosodio, Marge K. How you doing, Marge? John A. Davis. Welcome, John from Minneapolis. LBW from Kingwood, Texas says, and JD Vance is ready to help the technologarchs do just that. Yes, take over the world.
Hmm.
We have Delaney Mosley, MXXS, Mary B, Nancy Brandt, Sandra, Norma Taylor, Kat, Dale, Noelani, Megan Jones, Margaret Ryan. Thank you all from here. Margaret is from Washington State. Adam W is from Pennsylvania. Thank you guys. Do You Lie is in the house as well. Hi, you Do You Lie. We also have para ver Wafa Halim. Now, I want to pick up on what you said because folks, this battle to maintain democracy is going to be hard, but but we must do it. Let me say this. Um, I remember back when the internet started to become very powerful. At the time, uh, it's a time that my software company, Willies Computer Software Company, used to do all these. I had about 30 or so or more computers to test out the product that I made. And when the internet came to pass, we had this particular group called, I think it's called Jack and Jill, and I set up about 10 computers on a network, and I brought in a whole bunch of children, young people, young middle schoolers and high schoolers, and I told them, uh, a a lot of you complain about that the system is stacked against you, race is stacked against you, and you worry about being able to go out there. And I said, this is the equalizer, and I
Mm-hmm.
presented them to the internet,
Sure.
and we had it all set up network. And at that time I had a T1 that came to the house. A T1 is, at that time, was a high speed network, about 1.5 megahertz, and I set it up, and everybody came, and we learned how to start a simple blog and all these kinds of stuff, and how to do simple commerce. This was probably 15, 20 years ago, and I think it was about 15 years ago. And it turned out, I put all of that together to show them, like, nobody can see your face. You're only going to be judged by your intellect. So
Uh-huh.
no excuses, just your
Right.
intellect. Little did I ever know that we were going to have data forming in such a manner that your name carries everything about you. So even once I put Egberto Willies in there, and the IP is from Houston in an area close to Kingwood, everything is known about me. It is known that I'm a black Latino Caribbean dude. It is known that I was born in Panama. It is known that I live here. It's known every business that I've ever had. And now it's a control state. The next thing I started to talk about is, okay, now you can be throttled because of who you are. And I am living it. This thing that was supposed to open freedom, as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to being decentralized, that allowed everyone to to actually be themselves, is now turned into a plutocracy, has now turned it into a complete controlled system.
Yeah.
To which you ask, so why do we continue with it? Because again, that is how you eventually break it. Continue, my brother.
I wanted to reference Robert Kennedy Jr. was visited the Texas Capitol in the Inquirer in the Chronicle. Stopped by the Capitol Wednesday to tout new Texas laws requiring warning labels on food containing certain chemicals and mandating exercise and nutrition courses in Texas schools. So there's a COVID outbreak in the Texas legislature. I saw the state representative Lauren Ashley Simmons reference it. Um, and yesterday they announced Kennedy's Department, Health and Human Services, announced that you can't get the COVID vaccine if you're under 65 anymore unless you have an underlying illness. And so I want to read the last paragraph in the Chronicle story. Making Texas healthy is not complicated, Abbott said. It's the usual stuff: eating right, exercising, doing the things that will help prevent illness. Chronic diseases such as obesity and diabetes are due in part to ultra processed foods, poor nutrition, and lack of exercise. So, um, first of all, Kennedy isn't taking on those firms, right? So he's gotten Coca Cola to have natural sugar cane. Like the cavity matters, whether you got it from natural sugar cane or from an artificial product. They're not taking on. I saw a report. They're not taking on the food companies. They're not taking on the pesticide companies, even though Kennedy had at one point been an environmentalist. But here's Abbott Making Texas healthy is not complicated. And sure, you should eat right and exercise and all that. But how about some health insurance? Um, they won't take the Medicaid expansion, and they are supporting Trump kicking so many people off health insurance. So Robert Kennedy Jr. was at the Texas Capitol yesterday, and there's a picture in the Chronicle where Kennedy is sitting there with Abbott. The crowd, the legislators, I think behind him are very disproportionately white to our great state of Texas. And if they wanted you to be healthy, they'd give you some health insurance.
Now, let me show you the fraud that we're talking about here. Even as Kennedy has gotten Coca-Cola to make a sugar version, a version of his Coca-Cola with sugar, right? Of course, it's not replace high fructose corn syrup with sugar.
Right.
It is also offer sugar soda. Because in Mexico you got to use sugar, right? In Mexico and a lot of
Right.
Latin American countries, the
Yeah.
Coca-Cola is made with sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. And the thing about it is, it's a farce. He wants to appease those people that listened to him when he used to be protesting high fructose corn syrup. Now that he's telling Coca-Cola, you got to create it. What do you think Coca-Cola is going to do? They're going to just turn that into another profit center. I guarantee you that the sugar-based Coca-Cola is not going to cost the same as the high fructose based Coca-Cola. Something's going to change so that they can, just like with the tariffs price increases are actually going to be higher than the tariffs themselves because it's going to give these folks an excuse to increase the price. Look, we have to, America, we have to start getting smarter. And by the way, Reyes Nunez is from Livingston, but Guatemala on the Caribbean coast. He's a Caribbean
Okay,
brother
great.
from Guatemala. Great to have you here, brother. We got Tag on the line. Come on in, Tag.
Good morning, all. How you doing?
I'm doing fine,
Morning.
my brother. Talk to me.
Well, yesterday our House representative put up a post on Facebook, on his Facebook page, about how he was fighting hard to protect our Second Amendment rights. and of course, right away, started having the posts about, well, that's a dangerous concept with, making sure everybody can have a gun on every loony, And I think it got down to 30, 40 posts on there. And then all of a sudden the news come across about the school shooting in Minneapolis. And
Did he
I
delete
posted
it?
that on there. Yeah, he deleted his Facebook post.
Yeah.
So I feel quite good about these right wingers, putting up a fight with them and seeing them actually come in and delete their posts. That doesn't happen very often. So, but I think
No,
that's a good tool for us to use.
yeah, that is so insensitive that, well, I mean, of course he did it before he probably found out about the shooting. But the thing about it is, I think it is time for progressives and Democrats to hold the bull by the horn and stop playing the timidity. Most Americans want good gun control. Most Americans, if you heard a call that we received from Eddie yesterday, Eddie is clearly a conservative who called in, and he was thinking that another caller, Jimmy, was speaking up against him being able to keep his weapons. So that is what he heard. He heard that Jimmy wanted to go into his home and take all his guns. And then Eddie, a
Sure.
conservative, said, I keep my guns locked down. I keep the bullets out of my gun. I keep all of this stuff, Eddie says. I am responsible, is what Eddie said. And I told Eddie, I don't want to get your guns. That is the magic that we need to hit these guys on. And we need to make Eddie's. I was speaking to our other caller, Patrick, on the second show yesterday. E- Eddie is an ally that one needs to make because we may not agree on abortion, we may not agree on certain things, but damn it, Eddie, there's too much that we agree on, and those dead kids around this country by guns, we need to make that the issue. Republican policies by their leaders are killing our citizenry. and we need to point it out exactly as it is. They are murdering our kids by fiat. Continue, Tag.
Well, and just briefly, we need to impress on our right wing representatives in Washington that they cannot use the Second Amendment as red meat for their base to get votes. You know, buying votes with the Second Amendment's got to be the most despicable thing there is in this country. So that was my rant for the day, and I appreciate you letting me get
But
on.
before you go, Tag, before you go, I want to ask you something. You are a very intelligent young man. You know math, very much so. I'm going to ask you a simple question. 85% of Americans want gun control. 85% of Americans. Doesn't that mean, by definition, that there are a hell of a lot of their base that wants gun control?
That's true, but here's the flip side of that coin. People want to preserve their rights and their freedoms. So when they hear about gun control, they think they're losing their freedom to have a gun or some of the other freedoms. They don't consider that when they're talking about voting.
I want to bring Neil in here. Neil, doesn't that sound like a communication problem?
Yeah, we've never we have not found the right way to pitch it. I guess I'm not sure I have a genius thing to say about it. This debate has gone on for all my life, and I will comment that all these Second Amendment people who you wonder what they want their guns for. All these Second Amendment folks complaining, "Don't tread on me." You see the bumper stickers, and we have those license plates here in Texas, but now we actually have an occupying government, a right-wing authoritarian government. I thought they were all like Shays Rebellion, and they were going to rally for the cause of freedom. But I guess the right-wingers maybe wanted their guns to occupy our cities, apparently, because where are they all? Where
Well,
are they all? Here's the authoritarian government. Where are they?
You know those guys that drive the big pickup truck, right? It's all for show. I mean, you look good with that AR-7. Those guys that like to walk down the middle of the street with the AR-7 because I can. Thank you very much, Tag. Let me go ahead and get Coach AJ, and then we'll move on. All right, brother? Coach AJ, come on in.
Hey, you have a great show. I just want to, first of all, today's my 63rd birthday. Thank God for that.
Okay, hold on. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, our coach. I have so much love for teachers. So, guys, you guys are my heroes. Come on in, Coach.
Hey, so I was born in 1962, and I remember when I was in school, I used to say, man, I wish I had a famous birthday, because everybody had holidays as birthdays and different holidays and, different days. So today, in 1963, on August 28th, it was the March on Washington where Dr. King...
It was today, okay.
You were right, Neil. Brother Coach has it right.
Okay.
You see, that's why we keep teachers on, man.
Right.
Continue, Coach. Coach, you are a hero, and also your birthday has an anniversary. Continue, brother.
Yeah, well, the Reverend Al Sharpton and a group of leaders are having a march, but they're doing it on Wall Street. And,
nice.
Yeah, you can see it. You can look it up on, I guess, YouTube or Google or whatever. And they're doing it on Wall Street on the 28th as the anniversary instead of the March on Washington. They're having a march on Wall Street because of all of these policies. So that's going to be going on today. You'll see it online. Here's the thing, guys. When I was growing up, my mother was a pastor, and she used to say, whatever you worship is your God. So if you was washing your car and you should be in church on Sunday, she would say that is your God. If you was washing clothes on Sunday morning and you had all week to do it and you made the excuse not to go serve the Lord, that's your God. Let me tell you about the people that with these guns, right? Most of them are nice people, but they'll tell you they're Christian, and I'm not debating that, but they'll talk 2 minutes about God and Christianity, and they'll talk 20 hours about their gun. That's all I got to say. I'm out. Happy
Thank
birthday
you
to
very.
me.
Happy birthday, my dear coach. Happy birthday, AJ. All right,
Right.
let's go to Xavier, our young caller. Xavier, ¿cómo estás, my friend?
I just had one quick question. I bought my first gun a couple months ago. My wife doesn't like it. I bought it purely just because I wouldn't say a fear of authoritarianism, but just if they do decide to just kind of invade people's homes and whatnot, stuff of that nature, it's a fear of mine. But I just had a question as far as when I got my gun, all they did was really kind of run my background for violent
Mm-hmm.
and those types of crimes. What would gun control look like? That's pretty much my only question. And happy
Well, I
birthday,
mean,
Coach.
uh, yeah, let me just say, Xavier, the gun control that people looking for is things like making sure that you are not crazy, that you don't have mental issues. Also, making sure that you have training. I, for one, believe that if a car needs insurance, I think a gun should carry some form of insurance in case you harm somebody, that person can be taken care of. That is my thing. But again, there are a lot of things. It's not about taking your gun away. It's to make sure, like a license, prove that a person is responsible to drive a car, a gun safety, and these other issues, that you're responsible for holding a weapon that can actually end the life of somebody else. That kind of a stuff. As far as some sort of a restriction, other kind of gun control that I would support would be not being able to have an F-16. You can't have an F-16, or you can't have a bazooka, or you can't have a tank. That is reserved for society, your army, that kind of a stuff. Nothing to restrict you from having your rifle to go hunt with, your pistol to do what you want with. I don't particularly like guns. Other people do, as long as they don't harm me, or if they do harm me, that I'm taken care of. Hey, no problem. You got it, Xavier?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the knowledge. I appreciate it.
You
Have a
have
good
a
day.
Well, and
wonderful day,
I
sir.
appreciate Xavier. We have we've heard all our lives. We have Second Amendment rights, and Xavier referenced, the authoritarian situation, and we've heard it all our lives. People have Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, Xavier. You have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for listening. All right, let's go to John, line one. Come on in, John. How you doing, my brother?
Yeah, I guess since I'm in Minneapolis here, I feel like I should comment on what happened here. We had two mass shootings in less than 24 hours here
I
in
heard,
Minneapolis.
yeah.
And the second one, they know that they were high-powered rifles and weapons that could fire repeated rounds. So these are not hunting, weapons. And as a person who, is, you don't know, but I want to be able to walk out in public and not, have some crazy person shoot me. And I think that having background checks where a person's mental status is stated, so that they can't obtain these weapons. And I don't agree with people who say, well, they're going to get them anyway. This is not an issue in most of the Western industrialized world. You don't hear about these kinds of shootings. We also had a shooting of a state senator. Her husband and dog were killed at one, and that wasn't too long ago. We are just getting more violent.
Yeah.
It needs to be addressed.
And
Yep.
again, that's why, first of all, John, we need to, Democrats failed in making this an issue. The party that purports to support the sanctity of life has a hell of support policies that do a lot of killing, from their gun policies to their healthcare policies to their environmental policies. All those things are are precursors to death, and they purport themselves to be the party of life. We have to remember that. Hey, John, my lines are completely full, so I got to reduce the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
sir. Thank you, brother. Peace. Let's go to brother
Thank you.
Augie, line 2. Augie, how you doing, my brother? Augie, great supporter of our program and station. How you doing, Augie?
All right. Hey, the guy that called yesterday and said he had his guns locked up. You never asked him if he had semi-automatic or automatic weapons or military-grade weapons, because there have been
Mhm.
other parents like that said they had their guns locked up, but their kids got a hold of them, and they're semi-automatic, and they went on a rampage and killed people.
You're absolutely right. But let me just tell you where I wanted to take the discussion with Eddie. I made a few mistakes in the discussion with Eddie, as Patrick pointed out. On the 3 o'clock show. I can't remember what they are right now, but what I wanted the listeners to hear is that Democrats are not out there trying to take people guns away. They're trying to get people who have guns to be responsible with them, so that just as they have the right for their guns, Augie, you have your right to feel free and unthreatened when you go out there into the world. We have to have that ground that all sides are protected, and there are ways to do it. And we know that there are ways to do it. Guess why? Because other countries have been very successful in doing just that. Anything else, my brother Augie?
Yeah, and I had a friend who owned a scuba and gun shop in South Houston, and he told me every year an FBI guy would come look at his records, see if he sold
Hmm.
any automatic or automatic weapons, because they were illegal for a long time until the Republicans uh, changed the law where that people could have military-grade weapons,
Yeah, yeah.
and
That
nobody complained about it until people were able to get a hold of military-grade weapons, and they couldn't. And then they said Democrats were trying to take them away, but like you said, no, we had guns like growing up, single shot rifles and revolvers, but not automatic or semi-automatic weapons. And also that kid in Minneapolis, I think they said he had mental problems, and the Republicans have been shutting down our mental health facilities since George W. was governor of Texas. The second week he was governor, he came to the state house and said, "Hey, I just saved the state like $500,000. I shut down a nationally recognized mental health facility in Tyler, Texas." And so, what happened to the patients there? They were let out on the street, and
yeah.
staff had to go to other states to find work. And that was the first one. But they kept one after another. They kept defunding mental health here in Texas. In
Look,
fact, I have a stress test I had to take once a year, and I talked to the nurse, and we were talking, and she was trying to find mental health for her son, and she hasn't been able to find it here in Texas.
no.
But she
Eh,
voted for Trump and Republicans, and
Augie,
like
I gotta go because my lines are filled. But let me just say one thing: you are absolutely right. The mental health thing, we know that mental health has a lot to do with what these folks are doing. But guess what? The same states that support unfettered gun access are the ones that are restricting or not paying for mental health. So I think you nailed it, my brother. I got to go to Johnny. Thank you very much, Augie.
thanks, bye bye.
Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, kind of quicker up for me, my brother. How you doing, Johnny? I haven't heard from you in a few days.
No time since I'm on a time slot here. Ronald Reagan, he's the one who started this whole nonsense of cutting funding so that we had to start shutting down mental hospitals. He started that crap. So if Frank Luntz can show Republicans how to rename stuff like right to
Hmm.
work, I
Right.
can tell Democrats, hey, I can tell Democrats, hey, why don't you name your bill the gun rights bill? But get Marco Rubio at 11 o'clock at night to put in a donut and coffee rider in there.
You know
How about that?
something, Johnny, you just brought up a very, very important subject. For those who don't know, Frank Luntz is the person who makes the evil policies that are put out. And I mean this, I'm not being reactive here. The policies, and this is not to my Republican brothers and sisters, these are to my Republican politicians because these affect both Republicans and Democrats. the name that Frank Luntz is an expert in naming bills and creating narratives. He works for the Republicans, and he's the one who I think called the a bill that actually polluted the air. He called it the Clear Skies Bill. Things like that. Okay, so those are things you have to remember. Hey, Johnny, I gotta go, but thank you for bringing Frank Luntz up. Hey, you want to add anything real quick, Neil?
Nope.
All right, let's go to Derek. Come on in, Derek.
Good morning. You know, all I got to say is, America, what have you become? Military, becoming police of the citizens, citizenry. You know, Coach AJ, for me, is the call of the day. I mean, his mom was correct. The gun have become their God because they bow down to the gun. They worship the gun. I mean, look at the people, Egberto, whenever they get a gun in their hand, how they walk, how the voices change, and you know, you are nothing but a dry piece of wood and a coward with no spine. That you sound just like the Cowardly Lion. Dorothy, I can't live without my gun.
You
Go sit
know,
down. Thank you, brother.
the fun. Thank you very much, Derek. You know, Neil, the interesting thing about it, right? I don't like guns, but I will protect myself. I don't like guns, but I will protect myself, right?
Right.
The thing about it is, I don't feel guns really add that much safety. Look, if you take a look at who gets harmed by guns, it's the people with guns. Yeah, think about that. I mean, yeah, you can have the anecdotal story about somebody getting shot up at the Galleria Mall, or somebody's house getting shot up, which is actually the exception, not the rule. Most
Right.
people with guns in their homes die of suicide, accidental use, or use because they're angry at their wife, their husband, etc. That is what the numbers tell you. So this story that's made of guns is quite amazing. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yes, good morning. Of course, you didn't bring up that the latest school shooter is transgendered. So was the
Uh,
woman in Nashville,
okay, tell
Lakewood,
me
Colorado.
why does that have to
Was
do with the
non-binary,
act of? Let me ask you this now.
mental
Okay,
illness.
so you brought up the mental
Illness.
illness issue. No, no. First of all, the trans thing is not a mental illness, but we won't go there. Let me ask you the question that you guys, I don't know, we don't know it for a fact yet, that the person called themselves Robin instead of Robinson. I don't know if that made them I don't understand that. But let me ask you one thing. Uh, okay, let's assume that you're correct. Did they have an AR-15? Did they have a high-powered weapon? Yes or no?
What is the difference between a high-powered weapon?
That's not
In
what I asked you a
223,
question. Did they have an
what is
AR?
a high
Did they have a high-powered weapon? Yes or no? High-velocity bullets? Yes or no?
weapon?
Yes or no?
Define high velocity. Define
Okay.
high velocity.
Let's go to
A
let's go to
223.
Randy. Let's go to Randy. Randy, come on in.
Okay, real quick, I like guns. I don't have a big one because I don't want to go out and shoot nobody. And but the question I have for y'all this morning that I'd like to understand is that when I went to public session on Tuesday and the DSA came in with a bunch of people and cut us down to 1 minute, and before a while back, Palestinians were coming back by in so many numbers and just repeating the same message over and over again. If there's not a better way to do that and not mess up the normal city process of needing to do things like pick up the trash and all of the things that Public Works does, and people coming and trying to get help with actual city services rather than just calling our elected officials chicken.
Let me
Mike,
let Neil answer that first, and then I'll answer. Neil?
so you're referencing. So what the caller's referencing is Houston City Council had its first evening public comment session once a month, excuse me, at 5:30, and so there were some organized folks who came and spoke about city involvement with ICE. There were some of the Palestinian folks. The main conversation was city involvement with ICE, which is in fact a city issue. And I'll note that no council member bothered to reply to them, nor at the Wednesday session yesterday, the main business section of council. But to your question, they do. If you comment on an item that's on the agenda, let's say they're doing an ordinance about something, and you're commenting on that. There's a separate list they do for agenda speakers, and then for the person you're referencing, who mad that their trash isn't picked up, which is a huge issue. You're on the so-called non-agenda list, and the folks. So if you think about it, the folks who are talking about ICE and HPD cooperation, we're talking about a city issue. The folks who are talking about garbage collection also were talking. They weren't items on the agenda. I get your point, and I have sympathy for the person who goes down because their trash isn't picked up and has to wait 3 hours to talk. But that's kind of how they do it. If you were speaking specifically to the agenda for the Wednesday 9 o'clock business session, or were you speaking to something non-agenda, and everyone gets lumped together? So I do hear what you're saying, and I just want to note how many people came down there to speak about ICE, and they can't bother to reply, and it's very frustrating.
Okay, I'm running out of time. Randy, you want to answer real quick?
It just seems like the normal day-to-day problems that we have, and the larger really life and death problems that are being faced by our people who have come here, who are trying to work towards citizenship and all that. That they're separate. They should be separate lines to the city government.
And let me just say this, Randy. You are a city of Houston resident. I think one of the things that should be done is also you build your posse to suggest that there are better ways to handle it. That's what I would say in a democracy, and that's how it should work. If there's a better way to handle complaints, go for it, brother, because this is your city too. All right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. Let's go to Jesse.
Thanks.
Come on in, Jesse.
Egberto, I got a question. How do you get people that don't follow laws to follow laws? That's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Neil, how do you get people who don't follow laws to follow laws?
I don't know. I wish they would, man.
Well,
They would.
I have a big answer for that, though, and that is I think it starts from the top. If we see that we have a president that doesn't follow laws, how is that an incentive for the average person not to find a way around the law? So, I mean, we have a lawless president. So that my answer to Jesse would be, brother, you're so right. We need to follow laws, and we can't. The president is the biggest disfollower of law. He's been convicted, etc. And what it says in America is even not following the law can make you president of the United States.
We were down to our last 7 minutes. I just read a book where one of the topics was in early America, and of course they were holding slaves, but the government sought to teach people their concept of virtue, and then it became a very consumer-based government. It's a longer. So I became overwhelmed in the remaining 6 minutes to not get in.
Well, we actually have actually it's not 6 minutes, 4 minutes. So let's go to Bard. Okay. Bard, come on in.
Yes. Good morning. I wanted to give you some facts this morning. You can blame the guns all you want, but this shooter was an anti-Christian, mentally ill, tranny terrorist, and that is a fact.
Was he able to get guns, Bard? Was he able to buy guns legally?
I don't know about that.
Actually, no. Let me answer it for you, since you don't know, and that is our point. It doesn't matter what this guy is or who this guy is. The fact is, based on the laws that could not be challenged because of what you guys' interpretation of the Second Amendment is, somebody like that was able to get a gun because your side has prevented the controls that would have prevented him to have a gun. So it's immaterial, anything that you've just said. The fact of the matter is he was able to get a gun, and at that, a high-powered gun. Thank you, Bard. You have a wonderful rest of your day. All right,
You're the one.
let's go ahead. Give me a closer, Neil.
Great. You can always go to Houston City Council every Tuesday at 2 and once a month at 5:30, and they take all comers. It's a big city. I was sympathetic to the caller, but it's a big city, and it's just a jumble of folks who come. Go to HoustonDemocracyProject.com, and there is a calendar schedule. There are many Labor Day, September 1st, rallies, protests, workers over billionaires, and there's one near you. And that's true across the country. I had a caller from Minnesota today. Go look for it across the country.
All right, studio.
Hey, I actually wanted to say that, when Neil was talking about how his father, changed his mind as they desegregated the armed forces. And you were also talking about just like sharing blogs and email and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted people to know, like, this is the time to like know your neighbors if you don't know them, especially like people in apartment complexes, because we're less likely to probably, say anything more than hi. We really got to start knowing each other so that we can be more understanding to each other and face what's coming together. So that's my little
that
rant.
is great advice. Great advice.
That's spot on.
Spot on. Jack.
Thank you.
No, I got nothing.
Jack is good.
But look, Mayana, thank you for that. You are so right. Know your neighbor, know your friends, engage, hug, folks, love folks. If you do, it's so much of a better world. Neil, I want to thank you so kindly. HoustonDemocracyProject.com. HoustonDemocracyProject.com is Neil's great blog. Folks, you can get the rest of the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Email me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies.